generations it has been a peaceful world, until pride and a lust for power divided us. Now we fight enemies who were once our brothers.
There are few properties that inspire a sense of nostalgia in me more than that of the Transformers. I grew up watching the original cartoon, had all the action figures, and still have many pieces from ones that I broke in trying to transform them. The newer Michael Bay movies radically changed the look and feel of those cartoons, and Activision released some of the less than stellar movie tie-in games to go with them. They're going back to the well with everyone's favorite giant transforming robots one more time. This time, they're bringing back the look of the G1 robots in a battle that takes place before the events of the original cartoon. Activision has enlisted the help of proven Wii developers Next Level Games to bring this newest Transformers experience to life. They're the folks behind Wii hits like Super Mario Strikers and the more recent revival of the Punch-Out franchise, so they know how to handle the system. But does this game live up to the hype or the nostalgia that Transformers fans have for the series? The HD versions of The War for Cybertron are styled after gameplay experiences like Gears of War. With the Wii version of the game, Cybertron Adventures, the developers have instead opted for an on-rails experience. You're still getting the third-person action, but all the movement is along a predetermined path at set points in time. Your job is to take those pauses in the movement to shoot any of the enemies that are trying to destroy you. You'll be able to duck behind cover to recharge any health that you've lost, and it'll give you the chance to adjust aim for weapons like the sniper rifle. Once the area has been cleared of enemies, you're off to the next point of cover. Each of the game's playable robots on both the Autobot and Decepticon sides have 4 weapons that are selected by a different direction on the analog stick. Each of them play exactly like the others aside from some slight variations in their vehicle forms, some being airplanes and others being cars. The 4 weapons vary from auto-locking missiles, Gatling guns, sniper rifles, and a small burst cannon and are useful against different styles of enemies. Knowing these weaknesses will be helpful in racking up as many points as you can get and getting through the levels just a bit faster. Visually, the game is very striking. The fact that the game is on rails means that developers were able to create fewer assets that needed to be rendered. The visuals hold up very well unless you're zoomed in on the different characters during the cutscenes. Everything has a good sense of depth, and while still not as visually striking as the 360 or the PS3 versions of the game, the Wii title still looks quite remarkable. Each of these robots is modeled after their original G1 appearance, so Optimus has his face shield and Bumblebee has the horns that stick out from his head, but there are some differences to their vehicle forms from what you might remember. The game also doesn't scrimp on the audio aspects. Everything sounds heavy, and the screech of metal against metal can be very much like the effect of hearing nails scraping on a chalkboard. The game's campaign will take you through the battle on both the Autobot and Decepticon sides. Each campaign will take you somewhere between 2.5 to 3 hours to complete for a total of around 6 hours of gameplay. One of the biggest issues I have with the campaigns is the character selection. You're set with one character per act. On the Autobot side, you'll be going back and forth between characters like Ratchet, Bumblebee, Air Raid, and Jetfire, with Optimus only showing up during the final battle. You'll hear his voice and see him through some of the cutscenes, but his playable time is limited to about 20 minutes of the game. The Decepticon campaign, on the other hand, has you immediately starting off as Megatron and then going on to characters like Starscream and Soundwave. For people who want to extend their playtime past the relatively short campaign, each level has a number of different challenges that can be unlocked. These range from finishing the level in a set amount of time to doing so without taking more than a certain amount of damage or even destroying a predefined number of enemies. While the nostalgia of playing as these characters I remember so fondly from my childhood is a great experience, the actual gameplay itself leaves something to be desired. There have been numerous rail shooters released on Wii, and all of them feel a little bit different than this one. They all felt more like an arcade experience, whereas Cybertron Adventures feels like a watered-down third-person action game. You get some great moments of thinking this would be a great game if I could just control where I'm going and had more choice about where and when to take cover. The robots themselves move very smoothly and the cover system works great. The problem is that it's all built around a very generic shooting mechanic that doesn't have anything to set itself apart from every other arcade shooter on the system. The story's good and really gives you an idea of what happened before the events of the cartoon, and it's a great moment for fans of the franchise to see. But if it wasn't for the story pulling me along to find out exactly what happened next, I probably would have stopped after the first few levels. Transformers Cybertron Adventures feels like it was dumbed down a bit for the Wii audience, which is surprising given the track record of Next Level Games and their feel for the Wii audience. I have to wonder if maybe Activision pulled more than a few strings during the development of this game. If you're looking for a great experience from a Transformers game, I'd recommend looking for the 360 or the PS3 versions of the game. The nostalgia pull is strong, but I can't recommend this to anyone outside the most hardcore of Transformers fans. For a full written review, check out Nintendo-Okie.com.
Ready to go back to your cells?
Ironhide, don't let them take me back!